I don't even know really where to begin today's report because I am just sick to my stomach at some of the things that I have to tell you in today's broadcast. But for starters, let me put it this way. Right now, many within the Democratic Party and multiple left mainstream media news networks are stating that the United States of America is under siege, under attack, if you will, by Christian nationalists. And when they say Christian nationalists, they mean many basic principles within Christianity. One of those principles being this: if you believe that Christianity should, influence any of the laws, rules, or regulations of a country in any way, shape, or form, then you're a Christian nationalist. In other words, if you're a Christian who holds a view of being against abortion, right? If you're against abortion, well, that's a Christian principle, or they can tie it to the Bible because they can tie anything. A lot of immoral, if you will, stuff to the Bible that the Bible is against. Well, if that just so happens to be in the Bible and you support that, well, you could be a Christian nationalist fundamentalist. Not only that, if you believe that Christianity shaped any of the basic founding principles in America, then you are a Christian nationalist. And let me be very frank, whether you're a Muslim, a Jew, a Christian, a Catholic, a Buddhist, whatever religion you are, many of those religions, all of those religions, not many, all of them would love to have, say a Buddhist would love to have a Buddhist in politics, a Catholic would love to have a Catholic, a Jew would love to have a Jew, a Muslim would love to have a Muslim, and a Christian would love to have a Christian in politics. These are foundational, basic principles that they're talking about here. And today in the United States of America, those principles are under attack here in the U.S., unlike I have ever seen before, and they are exploding this month alone. You are going to be floored by what I have to share with you, and I really want to encourage you, stick with me because you're going to want to see it. But before I do, quick reminder, check out my partner at getthetea.com/Lisa. This is by far one of the best specials that he's ever had. You can buy 3 of these teas. This is my favorite tea right here, and you get one absolutely free. This is going to last you a good chunk of time. But these teas have literally saved my digestive system. So check it out at getthetea.com/Lisa. And on top of that, use the coupon code Lisa and the number 10 to get free shipping and an additional $10 off of that. So check it out in the description box below. All right. So with that, there is so much happening right now in our country that you absolutely need to be aware of. The attacks against Christians have exploded, and it is exactly as the Bible said it was going to happen. That's happening right now. And we've already seen attacks on Christianity in North Korea and China. We saw it during Germany, with Hitler, his attack on the Jews. Well, right now it is exploding right here in the U.S. Let's start first with New York Magazine right here. I want to show you what they have to say. And this is very recent, June 4th, 2022. And here it is. And all of these have a similar date. They're all within the month of June. But here it is. White Christian nationalism is a fundamental threat to democracy. Now, this article gets into Philip Gorski and Samuel Perry discussing their new book that they're calling The Flag and the Cross. Now, this entire book, in my opinion, I haven't read it, but it goes into detail about what it's about here, is all about Christian nationalism and the threat to democracy that Christianity is, right? But here's some of the things that they talk about in the book. For example, it says, Gorski and Perry argue that white Christian nationalists share a set of common anti-democratic beliefs and principles. These are beliefs that we argue reflect a desire to restore and privilege the myths, values, identity, and authority of a particular ethno-cultural tribe. These beliefs add up to a political vision that privileges the tribe, in other words, that privileges Christianity, and they seek to put out other tribes in their proper place. First of all, the very fundamental beliefs behind Christianity, you don't force anybody to believe it. God says that's everybody's individual choice. Never would anyone force a Christian principle, like forcing you to read the Bible, forcing you to go to church, forcing you to believe one way on abortion, forcing you to believe one way on homosexuality. The Bible does not push that. The Bible is not about that at all. And I don't know a single Christian that is sitting there saying, we're better than the entire world. In fact, Christians believe that they're full of sin. But in this book, the author there is asking them the two authors about questions within the book, right? And here's some of the questions that he asked. The first one here is this. You write that white Christian nationalism is entangled with the holy trinity of racial order, Christian freedom, and male violence. Other than Trump, because they're right off the bat calling him as someone calling for violence, he never once did that. So anyway, that aside, other than Trump, who are the contemporary political figures you see in this tradition? So they go on to name political people are leaders across the country who they think are Christian nationalists. And he states, I think anybody who subscribes to Trumpism, anybody who voted for President Trump, and ultimately the political figures who advocate for it. And let me just pause right there. What he just said is if you support President Trump or you voted for President Trump, tens of millions of Americans out there, right? Is a good chunk of our country because about 50% are Republicans, right? If you voted for Donald Trump and support him, or you're a political figure who got his supporting or backing or like Donald Trump, then you, by definition, are a Christian nationalist. Get it? That's the definition. Very basic. From his writing, Perry believes you support Trump, you're a Christian nationalist. So this is the label that we have now been given, the new, latest label, right? On top of just being a plain Christian. But it goes on to state this. You see, this is in Marjorie Taylor Greene. You also see this in Wendy Rogers, Josh Mandel, J.D. Vance, Elise Stefanik, anything that appears to white Christian ethno-culture. Now, it goes on to label a couple other people, right? And it says a little bit down here, the loudest version of this comes from the entertainment wing of the Republican Party. You know, Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, Eric and Laura Ingraham, and Tucker Carlson, of course. Tucker Carlson. So if you like any of those people, friends, you're a Christian nationalist. And Christian nationalists are sieging our country. And not just under siege, by the way. You're going to see a lot more radical rhetoric from these leftists in this article. I love Tucker Carlson. I love Laura Ingraham. Love a lot of those people. Does that make me a Christian nationalist? Well, it goes on a little bit. I'm still floored by this. I'm not, because the Bible said it was coming. I do know that. But still, here they ask another question. You end the book with what I would call a warning about what a threat white Christian nationalist is to democracy. Now, let me just pause right there, because in this entire document, they always say white Christian, white Christian, white Christian. They're implying, if you're a Christian nationalist, white Christian nationalist, they're implying that you can't be black or Hispanic or Japanese or Indian and like President Trump. And you can't be black, Hispanic, Japanese, Chinese, Indians, and be a Christian. No. It's just the white people. See how subtle that is? See how they're trying to exclude minorities by saying there's not a single minority who believes basic principles of Christianity. It's sick and it's twisted and it's racist, in my opinion. They're being very racist. Because President Trump never pushed for any kind of white superiority. That's BS made up by the far left. But yet here they are pushing it anyway. But let me go back. It says, you end this book with what I call a warning about a threat to white Christian nationalism, what a threat white Christian nationalism is to democracy. Could you tell me a little more about why it's such a threat? And here's what the author says. The way I would explain it best is that you'll often hear white Christian nationalists talk about taking back society for democracy, for we the people, citing, of course, the little opening line of the Constitution. Wait, what? So in other words, we're not allowed to talk about the Constitution because, God forbid, you bring up a document that made our country free. This is a blatant attack. I don't think this has anything to do with Christian nationalists or white Christian nationalists. It has everything to do with attacking the Constitution and attacking our rights. And those rights expand to all of us, no matter the color of our skin or the religion that we share. But they go on. When those people, when they say we the people, here's what they really mean, us the people. And they're saying, not you, no, just us real Americans. And this sounds democratic in the sense that it's all about people being in charge, but it's actually anti-democratic because it excludes many American citizens from full citizenship and because it justifies various meanings of limiting the vote. Oh, no, no, no. Nobody wants to limit the vote in any way, shape, or form. So basically, if you believe, right, that you should have an ID to vote, well, you're excluding people. They're not allowed to vote by our own laws, but somehow now you're subverting democracy. It's very twisted, very, very twisted and not accurate the way that they're saying it. But here he goes on to expand a little bit more. And this is a part that I really want to see. And he says this: I think in the long run, something you're hearing interestingly is that we need to create a society that's based on biblical principles. And what they, of course, mean by this is not the Beatitudes. You know, what they mean by this is Leviticus, strict laws that reinforce our place in society. Wait. So they're saying Christians want to implement Leviticus in the United States of America and force it on everybody. No. That's not even a true statement. If Christians, because I'm a Christian, followed the book of Leviticus, I wouldn't be here in front of you talking on the screen. This is Old Testament rule that Jesus came and conquered that. No Christian practices Levitical rule, like to the letter. They're not out there saying, oh, if somebody cheated on their wife, let's stone her. Nobody's doing that. Nobody's promoting that. This is a lie from this New York mag. Not a single Christian. I'm sure there's some crazy people out there, maybe, but the ones that are actually real Christians aren't saying, oh, we have to have a group and a church in charge, where the Levitical priests come up and they dictate everything. That was the whole purpose of Jesus Christ. But you see how yet again they twist it. They twist it. And they conclude that argument by saying they are Christian nationalists, want to bring us into a global trend towards authoritarian populism and the whole 9 yards. They want to usurp the United States of America. And when they say usurp, they're saying, and they didn't use the word usurped, I use that word, but what they're saying is we're authoritarians. Meanwhile, they don't say anything about radical leftists that want to usurp and burn our Constitution and use it as toilet paper. The real motive, I believe, here by such authors like this is not to bring unity, but to make a class of people the target of left-wing advocates, when in reality, none of that is what Christians are vouching for. Not a single Christian wants some authoritarian rule in any way, shape, or form. Think it's just that article? It's not. There's quite a few of them here. Let's just show you a few more. Religiousnews.com, how Christian nationalism paved the way for J6. It goes on within that article and it states this: the dignitaries stopped in front of St. John's, or this is an example. Wait. This right here, before I give it to you, in that article, this is an example of Christian nationalists at its finest. And I want you to hear this example. Okay, just listen to it. Here it is. The dignitaries stopped in front of St. John's Church, where presidents, including Trump, have traditionally attended services on Inauguration Day of St. John's, which had suffered a minor fire the day before it was closed. Fire by radicals, set the church on fire, right? But Trump took up a position in front of its sign right there, and he turned towards the cameras. A Bible held aloft. He has a Bible in his hand. And he says this: we have the greatest country in the world. Trump said. In the distance, sirens wailed. Our leaders in this country swear in. They swear in on the Bible for a very long time. Now, I guess they use whatever. But you can bring the Book of Mormon. You can bring the Quran. But you can't have a Bible aloft? I don't see how that's exactly fair. But he has a Bible aloft. We're the greatest country in the world, right? They go on to describe it. Washington's Episcopal bishop, right, condemned bad Trump stunt, saying it left her horrified. But White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows declared he was never prouder of the president, other than in that moment calling it a rejection of the degradation of our heritage or the burning of churches. Trump's evangelical Christian advisors were similarly effusive, lauding the photo op as important and absolutely correct. Goes on to bash it. And they go on to tie that somehow into the J6. So holding a Bible aloft saying we live in the greatest country of the world suffices condemnation in some way, shape, or form and encourages Christian nationalists. I mean, really. But maybe it's just those two articles. Nope. Here's a third one here. And again, all of these are very recent. That last one here, published very recently, June 2022. And here's the latest one. This one here, published June 8th, 2022. Opinion. White Christian nationalists fueled the J6 insurrection. And here's what they say in this one. The House Select Committee's hearing on 2021 Capitol insurrection, which began June 9th, should not neglect a key driver of the attack. White, there's that word again, Christian nationalism. White Christian nationalism is the belief that Americans' founding is based on Christian principles and that Christianity should be the foundation of how the nation develops its laws, principles, and policies, as my co-author defined in a report we wrote earlier this year for the Baptist John Committee for Religious Liberty and the Freedom from Religion Foundation. In other words, the way that I view that is this. If you, and I kind of stated it earlier, if you are against abortion and that just so happens to be a Christian principles, well, then therefore you're a Christian nationalist because you believe that the Bible is right and you're developing laws or voting laws. You're voting on laws and you are standing on certain principles because of what the Bible says. I mean, really. Basically, Christian nationalism is Christianity, although some sects of the church try to deny it. But wait, maybe it's just, 3 articles. Let's go on to a fourth one here. It keeps going, right? MSNBC put this tweet out very recently, June 2nd, 2022. And here's what they state at the very top. It is becoming increasingly clear that the U.S., there's the word, is under siege by Christian fundamentalists and traditionalists. And they're referencing this article here. And here's the article that they're referencing. Why Christian nationalism is suddenly at the forefront. And it states this: if you were at the center of a religious crusade, do you think you'd be able to detect it? I ask because it's becoming interestingly clear that the U.S. is under siege by Christian fundamentalists and traditionalists. The report text exchanges between then President Trump, House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, and Virginia Jeannie Thomas, the right-wing activist and wife of a Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, gave us a window into the conservative movement's religious push to remake America in its conservative Christian image. Nobody wants to go and usurp everything in the United States of America. They're being a lot more radical with it. But here, I want you to notice something, because Clarence Thomas, a Supreme Court of the United States of America's wife, is against abortion, these kinds of things. They call her a right-wing activist, and they put a label on her, which thereby would put a label on her husband, because they are together, as Christian nationalists. An interesting part there is they always talk about white Christian nationalists, but somehow that includes someone who's not white. See how that works? It's very basically about being a Christian. You can bring Muslim values in, but not Christian values. Why is there such a differentiation? And here's another one. Yes, there's more. I could pull up a lot more of these, by the way, but I'm just pulling up the more recent ones. Here's one, May 29th. This is the only one outside of June, but it was close enough. May, June. We're talking about a couple days here. Christian nationalism on the rise in some GOP campaigns. Now, here's where they're talking more people up and coming in the Republican Party. And here it says the Victory Party took on the field. And by the way, before I read it to you, I want you to think about your basic church on Sunday. When you go to church, you raise your hand, you sing to Jesus, we pray to him, we love the Lord our God. And I want you to think about, do you do these things? And I want you to keep that in the back of your head, right? But here it is. Here's what they're calling, again, going back, Christian nationalism on the rise. In other words, you support Trump, you're a Christian, That's the label. It says the Victory Party took on the feel of an evangelical worship service after Doug Mastriano won Pennsylvania's Republican gubernatorial primary this month. As a Christian singer led the crowd in song, some raised their arms towards the heaven in praise. Mastriano opened his remarks by invoking the scripture. God uses the foolish to confound the wise. He claimed Pennsylvania's freedom would be snatched away if his Democrat opponent wins in November and casts the election in starkly religious terms with another biblical reference. Let's choose this day to serve the Lord. Mastriano, a state senator and retired Army colonel, has not only made faith central to his personal story, but has woven conservative Christian beliefs and symbols into his campaign, becoming the most prominent example this election cycle of what some observers call a surge of Christian nationalism among Republicans. This is a label, by the way, that they give, that they're giving. Let's take it a little further. They expanded on Mastriano, right? Who was voted in by the people, right? Because as that article states, he won Pennsylvania's Republican primary. He won. The people picked. Let the people pick. But here's another one going on full attack mode of him here. And here it is. And this is Politico, right? Their magazine. Come across as a cult guy. The Pennsylvania candidate freaking out both the left and the right. Not necessarily true. Those on the right that are freaking out are rhinos, but I digress. It says, Mastriano's appeal is not strictly or even principally secular. When he announced his candidacy at the hours-long event in January, a man introduced as Pastor Don blew a shofar and said, the presence of God is thick in this place. Mastriano's wife, Rebecca, read from Psalm. Mastriano told his supporters they were part of a new generation of leaders rised up by God. And when people at the patriotic flag-doubted events he participated in on our Memorial Day weekend stopped to talk about him, they fell into religious language too quickly. What is this language? I'm a Christian, and I think we need more of that. One of them told me. He represents the restoration of religious liberty, another said. Prayer, a third person. We can help him win through prayer. That's somehow a bad statement, folks. I'm not even joking here. Every religion prays, but it's not okay to talk about praying for someone to win in Christianity. Really? I pray a lot. Pray a lot about that. Mastriano, and then it goes on to make this peculiar statement. It's a stupid statement, by the way, but Mastriano represents a growing style of politics we don't have a common name for yet. But then they go on to name it, right? Journalists in Pennsylvania and elsewhere have called it Christian nationalism. So we don't have a name for it, but we do have a name for it called Christian nationalism, a worldview shaped by the fusion of the Christian message and American identity. Though Mastriano himself has dismissed that label, he considers himself a torchbearer of restoring your freedom. Wow. I'm a Christian. That's it. And I want the United States of America to be free. And somehow that makes us bad people. This is multiple articles that I just showed you folks, not just one. And they go on and on and on. And the people reading this, I wonder how much they're thinking. Because in my opinion, this feels like they're trying to frame up a new enemy, right? Christian nationalists, aka Christianity, to mobilize their leftist radical base, right, to start taking action against us, censoring us, shutting us down, boycotting businesses, and the whole 9 yards. That's what it feels like to me. And you know what? This is one reason I created restrictiverepublic.com. I can't tell you. The Bible tells us that we are going to be persecuted for his name's sake all across the globe. And this is absolutely coming. Get to restrictiverepublic.com. I share all kinds of information. Right now, I've got exclusive information, exclusive interviews, by the way, that I've done with people. And if you want to know truth and dive into how bad things really are, get to restrictiverepublic.com. I'm putting out a huge report today. And right now, you can get it for $5 per month, that entire first year. Use the coupon code Trump to take advantage of that. But get to restrictiverepublic.com and check that out. Anyhow, I'd love to hear your thoughts, comments, and concerns. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.